Armchair Warriors, episode 468. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by Viable Human, Chris Saturn.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Saturn. We made it.
Yeah.
This is it. We've arrived at
Where?
episode 468.
Oh, yeah, the big milestone.
It's been a long time coming.
467 episodes worth.
previous episodes to get here, and we've made it. Coming up on
And
500.
We are coming up on 500, yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do.
And
We already did the wizard.
once we do 500, then we're pretty close to the 10-year mark.
Oh, God. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Uh-huh.
I've reached that age where everything is a couple of years ago now. Even stuff that was 10 years ago. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, it was a couple of years ago. And they're like, no, that was 2017. I'm like, yeah, a couple of years ago. And they're like, no, that wasn't a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this is just...
I had
Damn
found myself doing that the other night at work. I was saying something was a few years back, and the guy I was talking to was like, I was in elementary school then. It's like, oh, cool.
You were in elementary school a few years back? Weird.
Yeah, I think I was referring to something about the a couple of years before the Xbox One launch or something,
Oh, yeah.
and they're like, "Yeah, I was still in elementary school back in 2010." Like, how is that the case?
We're talking about Paul Blart Mall Cop and one of the kids in, not even kids. I used to, so we
Right.
had people in our Discord that have been in it long enough that they were like teenagers when they joined, and they are no longer. They're grown adults
Yeah, they're
now.
in their 20s now.
And one of them responded and was like, yeah, I used to watch it all the time when I was 8. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm going to die so soon. Like I couldn't.
Yeah, because that movie's 15 years old now.
Shut up. Shut up. My week.
And he said he was 6, by the way. When
Oh
he
my
was watching it.
God. My week. I've been playing old man games because I'm an old, decrepit man. I've been, I get in my mood for my, gray-brown military shooters.
Oh.
And I've been kind of having a hankering for some Battlefield 2.
I was having a conversation with somebody at work about that the other day, about how people my age are nostalgic for like the old pixel graphics, and we're seeing a resurgence of that in indie games. And I was like, are we going to have kids who are nostalgic for the gray-brown era of military shooters, and we're just going to get a bunch of shitty, ugly military shooters?
I hope. Because, man, it's like, if that's what you want to play, they're like, well, go play Call of Duty. And I'm like, not going to fucking do that. Battlefield 2, I like Battlefield 2. And I went back and I was playing it. And, Battlefield 2, so Battlefield, the big thing of the Battlefield games was that it was these big, like, 64 simultaneous player maps. So the maps were giant, and there was, like, tanks and helicopters and stuff, right? So it's not just you running around shooting guns. You also can drive vehicles, and that's what made them fun to me. That's why I liked Battlefield, because there was, like, vehicles and shit.
Yeah.
But Battlefield now doesn't have offline bots. So you have to play with internet
Humans,
people.
Yeah.
Or nobody.
Oh.
And so I don't want to do that. So I went back to Battlefield 2 and was playing that. And I was like, this is real fun. And I was like, man, this sure seems more dated than I remember. I mean, the game's only 10 years old, 15 years old? It's a little older than that.
Yeah. How old is it?
I don't know, maybe 20 years old? I can't, it's old, man. I run it in compatibility for Windows XP, if that tells you anything.
It's 19 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was playing it and I was enjoying it, and I was just like, man, how come I wish more games had offline AI bots? Because a lot of times, like, I just want to play my little tactical military shooter. I don't want to have to play with some random on the internet.
Right.
In the entire genre, like, you go online and you're like, hey, what's like a good, just like, military themed FPS? And everyone's like, well, what you want to do is you want to get together with a squad of friends and you want to play this game. It's extremely hardcore and realistic. You're going to need to spend a few months grinding ranks. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, be a guy in a game with a machine gun and, like, get in a tank. Like, that's what I don't want to do all the other fucking shit. And I don't want a campaign. I have the urge occasionally to be a gray-brown military man in a video game shooting a machine gun at something and driving a tank. I don't need the, like, melodramatic fucking Tom Clancy bullshit narrative on top of it about how, like, China has invented a mega nuke and they're firing it from Saturn or whatever fucking shit you've come up with.
They're
to
firing
like,
it from me.
Yeah, whatever. So I was playing Battlefield 2 and I was like, this is fun, but there's got to be something like modern that fits that niche for people like me who you're like, I don't want to play online. I don't even want to play with other people that I like. I just want to play it by myself, and I just want to, just play the game. And I discovered a game called Brass Brigade.
Okay.
And this is specifically styled after like Battlefield 1942, which was the World War II one, and Battlefield Heroes, which was the kind of more cartoony looking free-to-play one that came out in like 2009-ish, I think.
I don't remember that.
And it's exclusively single player. And it is you versus bots, and it's just like a World War II little shooty gun game, and you show up and you can drive jeeps and tanks, and you take points and shoot your guns and stuff. But because it is all single player, and it's all AI, you get to control everything. So you can like increase your damage. There's all these different sliders for stuff. There's one where you can like max out the ragdoll physics, so anytime someone gets shot, they like fling across the map. So it has this almost kind of like weird, like Gary's Mod sandboxy kind of element to it, where you can really customize a lot of different stuff. You can like crank it up so there's like insane amounts of bots in every match, but obviously it kills your computer.
I'll be honest, I have no idea what Gary's Mod is either. Like I hear
Gary's
it
Mod
regularly,
was,
but I don't know what it is.
Gary's Mod was basically like a Source Engine toolkit game where you can just show up and spawn Source Engine stuff. So you can be like, I'm going to spawn 500 head crabs and then put them through a gauntlet of floor saws that I invented and then shoot. It's just like a sandbox thing.
I mostly know it for the toilet memes now, for what the kids are talking about.
The skibbity toilets.
Yeah,
is that the ones? And so it's just a fun like single player only military shooter. There's no story, there's no nothing. You pick a battle, so there's like all these different, the maps are all themed after certain World War II battles. So you can be like, oh, I'm gonna go do Normandy, I'm gonna go do Iwo Jima or whatever, and you just shoot dudes, and it's fun. And there's no online. It doesn't even try to go online. There's no thing where it's like checking for servers, none of that fucking shit. My only complaint is it's not super efficient. Like it's a pretty like I don't know. It's sort of the graphics are kind of low poly, right?
Yeah.
And it's made in Unity, but it kind of chugs a little bit. But other than that, it's a good time. It was like $9 too, and I'm like, well, $9 to get my shooty gun game fix.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm okay with that. So I've just been shooting things in video game form. What have you been playing?
I was just thinking while you were talking about that I was working at EB when Battlefield 1942 came out. That was the first one, right?
I don't know. I think so. It's the earliest one I remember playing. I bought that one and I had a good time with that game. It was a fun game. I think it was like 2002 when that one came out. Yeah.
And I remember one of my regular customers brought it back a week or two after it came out to trade in, and this was when we still took in PC games as trade-ins.
I was about to say, PC trade-in?
Yeah, EB always did PC trade-ins. GameStop
Weird.
didn't. But EB did. And so he brought it in to trade it in, and he was like, yeah, it's garbage. It's like worse Medal of Honor watered down. He's like, this is never going to become a series like Medal of Honor. Like,
okay. God.
So that's
well, there was that was at the time when like Medal of Honor had a campaign.
Yeah,
it was like a story.
Peak Medal of Honor era.
And then Battlefield 1942 is just like, be a dude in a Jeep.
Yeah.
And there's other people shooting. Like that was the appeal.
Right.
There's yeah. For sure.
Now, so I'm still playing the Shockman games that were released on modern consoles, and it was starting to get frustrating because the badness was outweighing the faux nostalgia that I was feeling for it, and that's when I found its accessibility menu.
Oh,
this modern port included all the cheats, and suddenly it is a much better game. When I can cheat at it, now it's just like viewing through the nostalgia goggles without all of the badness.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying it. And they just announced that the Super Nintendo Shockman game is about to come to all the consoles too. So they're still porting the rest of that series, which is neat.
That's good.
But I also picked up something called Kinito Pet.
I was looking at this because I saw it in your list.
Yeah.
Have you been to the website?
Yes.
KinitoPet.com. It just straight up is like the fucking
Windows 98 website.
Yeah, like Bonzi Buddy looking shit.
So what this is, it's what if Bonsai Buddy was a malicious demon entity. And it took over your computer.
It wasn't?
Yeah, I know. I was shocked
It was already
too.
malware.
Yeah.
All right.
This is basically like a comedy horror take on Bonsai Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it gives you a little fake computer screen, and he pops up on your screen. At first, he forces you to install it, and no option you do can undo the installation once it starts, just like Bonsai Buddy. And then you know it's just him slowly taking over your computer and forcing you to see worse and more frightening things.
My favorite review that I found so far was a negative review, and all it said was, "I said I was afraid of boobs, and it showed me Christmas cookies." So,
yeah, it has a fairly limited dictionary, just like the real Bonsai Buddy.
I'm interested, but how actually scary is it? Because I can't handle.
I don't think it's too scary, but it is disturbing at times. Like if you're the kind of person who doesn't like things that get unnerving, you probably won't like it. But and it's not like super graphic or anything, but it does sometimes break the boundaries of its program and start doing things on your actual computer, and that's a little unnerving.
That does seem a little unnerving.
I will say, spoiler for anybody who wants to play it, at one point it will turn on your camera if you have a camera on.
Shit.
And then it will show you on the screen to make
that is really unnerving.
Yeah, it's like he says something like, "I'm in the room with you and I see it," and if you click dismiss, it just turns on your camera and it shows you your room, which is
God.
Which I was remoted into my computer at the time, playing it through my Steam Link. So it just shows my cat's cat tree, and I'm like, oh, that is scary.
My laptop has a physical disconnect for the camera.
Yeah,
so
same,
you pull
same
so it would just be black for me, I think.
Yeah, but no, it's neat. It's cute. It's kind of dumb, and I was enjoying it. So if you want to see the world of haunted Bonsai Buddy, it's called Kinito Pet, and it is on Steam.
Yeah, it's very weird looking.
Yeah,
very weird. Let's do the news.
Okay.
First up, Shovel Knight 10th anniversary. Oh my God, where did the years go?
Yep.
Shovel Knight 10th anniversary. Shovel of Hope DX announced.
I still have the Wii U version of Shovel Knight.
Yeah,
so it's not. I've not been convinced to buy it again. I think I have it on 3DS as well.
I
like the game, but I didn't like it enough to stick with it to the end.
I liked it, but there was no accessibility options, and I got to where I couldn't beat some of the bosses.
Yeah,
and so I just had to quit. And so I keep waiting for the version that comes out that has like accessibility options to make it, like actually playable for someone like me.
Maybe that'll be in the anniversary edition.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. New Sega Saturn flash cart called Saroo, Saroo, Saroo has been released. Works in the cartridge port, and so this is very good news. There are a lot of different options for like ODEs and stuff for the Sega Saturn, but this one is simpler. I don't think
it still acts as an ODE, and it looks like it's somewhat open because we're already seeing a bunch of just really cheaply made AliExpress versions of it.
Yeah,
so it's probably going to be the most affordable Saturn option.
Crixzy, the flashcart person, has announced a new cheap Genesis flashcart.
Yeah, which is nice because we're in the era of super expensive Genesis flashcarts that have built-in Sega CD and 32X and all that.
It's amazing the systems I forget don't have cheap flashcarts yet, because it's like we're far enough away from the invention of the flashcart that sometimes we forget that when they first came out, they were like $150, $200.
Yeah.
And they were very limited.
Right.
Like I picked up that flash cart from my Game Boy Advance, and I was like, this is great. And it was like $35.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I should get one for my Neo Geo Pocket Color. And I looked it up and I was like, why is it $130 and sucks? And I was like, oh yeah, not everything has reached the realm of cheap, affordable flash carts yet.
Yeah.
So it's good to see another system joining the ranks of affordable flash carts.
Yes, indeed.
A $20 HDMI mod has been announced that works with PS2, Xbox, and Dreamcast and is solder free and just plugs in, if I'm not mistaken.
Which that's neat. That's
That
good
is very
news.
neat. I feel like the era of like not having to mod your system, getting plug and play stuff like Saturn flash carts and HDMI mods is so nice.
I hope that they continue on this trend to slightly newer consoles, because I have so many Xbox 360s sitting around, Justin. I don't know what to do with all these Xbox 360s.
Well, you just give them to me.
You can have one. You come get it.
I already have one.
Well,
I might have two. I don't know.
See, that's how it happens.
I have an Xbox 360, and I will occasionally hook it up to play Guitar Hero. That's its purpose.
Well, now
is Guitar
that
Hero.
the shop is shutting down for it, I want to mod one. But every time I look at a video of how to mod them, I'm like, no, that's too much for me. That's too complicated.
Xbox and less Xbox now, but Xbox 360 especially very much is in that weird limbo of like, it's no one really cares about it yet as a retro thing, but it's still old enough that nobody other than retro people care about it.
It's just new enough that there were mods for it when it released, but it's just old enough that they haven't really evolved much since then.
A Mario movie sequel will release in April of 2026, which is, not surprising, I guess.
No.
The first Mario movie was
I need to watch
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good animated film. It wasn't like outstanding, but it was like solid animated movie. Solid B+ animated film.
Yeah.
I have concerns about the Nintendo Cinematic Universe and where it's going to end up taking their properties. I'm worried that everything's going to get sort of Marvelized.
Yeah, I'm a little worried.
Where like after the MCU took off, every version of those characters had to be, visually congruent with the MCU version. So all of a sudden the comic characters look just like the movie versions, and I'm not a huge fan of that kind of homogenization.
Yeah.
And Nintendo has been surprisingly resistant to fully homogenizing their stuff. Like they still occasionally
that Peach game went with the movie art instead of the traditional game art.
It did, yeah. Like Nintendo, like they're definitely more homogenous than they used to be. Used to be all over the fucking place.
Oh, yeah.
But of the big companies, they do still seem pretty ready to be like, yeah, here's just kind of a weird off the wall version of one of our mainstay characters for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I like that. I don't want that to go away because they're trying to fit some movie version of things.
Yeah.
But yeah. I played the Peach game. I own it, and to be honest, I didn't even really notice it was the movie version because really it's the face is the only portion that is really particularly different.
Particularly different, yeah. It's true.
Yeah. I did see a movie Mario doll the other day in Target.
Yep.
And it was very unsettling because it had like the very realistic denim texture on it.
Yeah, and also it sounds like Chris Pratt.
It was very weird. I was like, this is a very weird looking Mario, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's movie Mario.
Yeah,
that's why he's in. It looked like, in the early aughts when people were doing like Photoshop art of like realistic Mario Brothers, and you'd see it, and it would be like a dumpy looking plumber dude in overalls, and it felt like that. It was very strange.
It didn't look like Bob Hoskins at all.
Did not at all. Did not look like drunk as shit Bob Hoskins. And then finally we had a Nintendo Direct before I even woke up today at like fucking 7 o'clock in the morning.
It was at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Whatever.
Our time.
I was dead asleep. I slept till 10:30 today. All right.
I stayed up late to watch it because it aired at 9 a.m., which is a little past my normal bedtime. So I tried to stay up for it, and it was good. It was a stacked Direct.
Yep, I missed it entirely. I woke up after it was over. We got a new Mario and Luigi announced.
Yes. Which speaking of unique art style Mario games, like as soon as it was on the screen, I was like, this looks like Mario and Luigi art, but in 3D. And then it was Mario and Luigi.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
We have Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is not only a new 2D Zelda, but one where you get to play as Zelda.
Yeah, it looks really neat. I'm a
fan
of this. I hope they've fixed the game engine because it looks like it's still the Link's Awakening engine. And I don't want it to run like Link's Awakening.
It probably is going to. But my daughter will be excited about that one. Anytime there's she's always annoyed that the female leads don't ever get to be female leads.
Right.
So she'll be excited.
You got
about
Lara
that.
and you got Samus. And
Yeah, that's
good
true.
enough,
Samus,
right?
Samus barely counts. She's in a big fucking robot suit all the time.
Where's
It's
that
just
bit in Zero mission? You get that?
yeah, the bit in Zero mission. Yeah, no. I guess you can play her in Smash and not in the robot suit if you don't mind her in skin tight spandex tube tops.
Yep.
You know, that's fine, I guess. Dragon Quest III HD 2D, still the stupidest names, is now coming this year.
Yes.
So it's confirmed. What was it? It was confirmed for like November or something?
Yes, sir. It's coming in November. They also confirmed Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D is coming out next year.
Very exciting.
And speaking of games where you can play as women, Dragon Quest 3 does let you choose a female hero.
I assume all three of these games will be $60 a piece. Is that the?
It looks like 3 is going to be 60, and the implication is that 1 and 2 is going to be a collection like it usually is, so it'll also be 60.
See. Well, that's smart. 1 is like a 5-hour game.
Yeah, it's a pretty short one.
Makes sense. Very exciting. I'll probably pick this one up.
Yes.
I was thinking about it today, and I was like, well, I just played through Dragon Quest 3 for the show, a few months ago.
Looks like there's a new job class too.
I did really enjoy the game a
good
lot.
game.
And so I might go in on this one. We'll see what happens. Metroid Prime 4 is coming. It's
real. It's
been,
no longer it's still plausibly vaporware.
My brother texted me and he said, yeah, there he goes. 9 years ago it was announced.
7 years ago it was announced.
7 years ago it was announced.
Unless I'm wrong, it might have been 9 years ago.
He said 9, and I would trust him, but I don't know. I would also trust you.
2015 was before the Switch was announced.
Oh. Did they mention something about it then? I don't know. Either way, it's been a long-ass time. It's coming out. Okay. I will say, as a big fan of Metroid Prime, I hated Metroid Prime 3.
It was announced at E3 2017, so 7 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in a wait-and-see mode on this because I really didn't like the direction they took with Prime 3, so...
I've not liked any of them, so I'll probably...
Right. You're already out, but I'm like, give me more of that Prime 1 and 2 vibe. Less of the Prime 3 vibe.
Yeah, even in the trailer they showed today, it was stop and scan shit with your visor. And I was like, oh, I'm done.
I can't wait to stop and scan shit with my visor.
That's not how Metroid plays.
No, it is, Saturn. They've made this is the 4th one in which it plays that way. I don't know what you're talking about.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Donkey Kong Country Returns is getting a Switch port with the 3DS content added, so that's cool.
I like to call this Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah, obviously, with new Funky Kong mode.
Yeah.
I didn't love Donkey Kong Country Returns because it was so fucking hard. I liked the game, but man, it was a tough game. Link to the Past / Four Swords, Metroid Zero Mission, Turok for some reason, and Perfect Dark are all coming to Nintendo Switch Online Plus.
Which is weird because Turok already has a Switch port.
Oh yeah, but it's the remake.
No, right? There's the port of the original game.
Oh. I assumed it was when they did the remake a couple years ago.
Was that not still the original game?
I mean, it is, but it's like a remaster. So
yeah. Well, there's that enhanced edition is on Switch, but now also the original one is, which is the same game.
Okay. Well, I mean, the remaster's pretty good. It's a pretty good remaster. So let's just relax before we start yelling at each other about how wrong Saturn is about Turok, and we'll just calm down for a minute.
Yeah.
Does God, can you play Perfect Dark? Like, does Nintendo Switch Online Plus support like online play?
Yes,
like,
yes. They did say that both of those will support online. Now, the Xbox port of Perfect Dark already supports online, and it doesn't require you to do split screen to do it.
I forget about that. I forget that thing exists entirely. Yeah. Marvel Capcom Collection, including X-Men, Marvel MVC games, and Punisher, has been announced, which is exciting news. A lot of people very stoked about the continued availability of these games, which have been in and out of availability for a number of years.
And those will be on Switch and PlayStation and PC, and Dragon Quest is going to be on everything. So
I'm excited to pick those up on. Basically, everything announced here that is multi-plat, I'm not going to get on Switch.
Same here, yeah.
But still, it's still exciting news. Fantasian, previously Apple Arcade exclusive, which Saturn complained endlessly about, is now getting a console port. Is coming to Switch.
Pretty stoked about that.
So you can now. Wasn't this? God, Who worked on this?
Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of Final
Sakaguchi
Fantasy.
worked on it? Yeah.
Nobuo Uematsu, the composer from Final Fantasy, and it is ostensibly Uematsu's last game. 'cause he
That's
said
what it
that
was.
he
It
is
was his
basically
last,
retiring.
and then he's done now. Yeah.
So that's exciting. That's getting a proper console release on every major console. So I'm down.
Very good news. Romancing Saga 2 is getting a full remake.
Yes.
Which is
which
good
looks
news.
pretty impressive for a full remake of Romancing Saga 2. It's still Saga though, so if you're not down for weird ass JRPGs, you may not be interested. But if you do like your JRPGs to be weird and not have experience points, Romancing Saga 2 is pretty good.
I like the promise of the Saga games, but I keep searching for the one that I click with. You know what I mean?
The Super NES games were always the ones that everybody always spoke about. Those were the ones that people said were the best. So if you haven't played any of those yet, you should try.
Deck building Metal Slug tower defense game. Yes, tell me more. Available immediately.
Yes, and
this
kind of looked like a mobile game, and I was a little worried about that.
Yeah, that's.
I'm kind of worried about the way SNK is positioned right now.
Doing in general.
Yeah, they seem to be pushing a lot of like mobile-y looking games instead of full on
they do
sequels.
They are, and they do. I feel like wasn't this one previously on mobile?
It may have been, and I just
because it's Metal Slug Attack Reloaded, right?
Okay.
That's the game. And I'm pretty sure Metal Slug Attack was previously their mobile game, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it looks
I didn't play it because
it
it looked like shit. So
I just wasn't familiar with it. It definitely looked like a mobile game when I saw it in this. And it
so
looks like it was previously on iOS and Android.
I mean, for me, it's kind of like SNK's dead, right? They died. And we're lucky that we got the King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown games a few years ago.
Yeah.
Those were just strokes of luck. Anything we get now is just bonus round.
Right.
So it just kind of is what it is. But, and a sequel to the 2004 PS2 game Phantom Brave is coming out, which is very exciting. If you like Nipponichi strategy JRPGs, which I do, then there you go. I like them. Yep. The current like Disgaea 9 or 15 or 27 or whichever fucking Land Before Time number we're on, they've gotten so insane and like meta and inverted in on themselves at this point that I struggle with them.
Yeah.
But going back to kind of the more pure era of those games with a sequel to Phantom Brave is promising to me. I'm excited about the idea of that. So that should be cool. I'm hoping that it pans out, you know, because the current Disgaea games, which is still sort of the flagship of the Nipponichi strategy games, are dense to say the least, both mechanically and kind of culturally. Right, these games have sort of like been this snowball of like.
And the numbers just keep getting enormous.
It's ridiculous. The whole point was it was already ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's become a parody of a parody at this point.
Yeah, at this point we're 17 parodies deep.
Yeah,
and it's very strange. They're fun,
right?
But it's kind of like if Vampire Survivors was as complicated as it looks like it is.
Like you know how
that's what playing Disgaea now is like.
You know how those cookie clicker games like start with single digit numbers and then eventually you end up with like 1.38 E plus 79 every click. That's where Disgaea feels like it has gotten.
Yeah, it's gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
Very ridiculous. Which brings us to our topic at hand.
Yes.
Which is Mega Man.
Oh, Mega Man.
You know, Captain N's little green trash can shaped Mega Friend.
Yeah.
Right? Little green robot guy that says Mega all the time.
Yeah.
You're fucking spot on Mega Man impression.
That was one of my earliest introductions to to Mega Man too. So like as I played the games, I just assumed he was walking around like, "We've got to stop this mega trash can, Captain N."
Captain N was such a fucking shit show.
I loved that show so much as a kid.
Oh, it was a disaster.
Loved it.
So this is kind of a new series for us, which we're always trying to, 500 episodes.
We've done this before. We have.
We have.
Yeah, we did Luigi.
We did Luigi. I think it was in the year of Luigi that we did it, wasn't it?
It was 10 years after.
Oh, was it 10 years after the year of Luigi?
Yeah,
What
the
was
year of Luigi was before we started this show in 2013.
It was a couple years ago, right? A couple
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah, a couple years ago in
Couple years.
2013.
So, yeah, I guess I forgot the year Luigi was on the Wii U, wasn't it?
Yes, it was,
And we
yeah.
were not doing the show
Correct, yeah.
then. Yeah. Anyway, we've returned to it, reinvented it. This is an episode about a specific character, not necessarily a game or a game series, but how this character has sort of evolved over the years.
Yes.
So Saturn, why don't you give us thankfully, we have a lot of information about Mega Man.
Yeah.
Because Capcom.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the just straight biographical information of Mega Man for people who may not be familiar?
Well, first of all, if you're not familiar, I don't know how you found our podcast, and I really want to find out.
Yeah, if this is your introduction to Mega Man in general, I would love to know that.
Right?
You please write in.
So, first appearance was the game Mega Man, or Rockman in Japan, which released both in Japan and the U.S. in December of '87. The stats that I found are from a book called Rockman Daizukan, which I've been told translates to Rockman Big Reference Book, which I wish we got books that were just called Big Reference Book. This was published in April of '93. His given name is Rock, and his title is Rockman or Mega Man, depending on which region you're in.
Is Man his last name?
No, that's just his title. He just
Okay.
decided when
But
he decided to
he's kind of
become a
more of a
superhero.
boy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And you know what? It never occurred to me that Rockman, man being like a superhero moniker,
Yeah.
never once occurred to me in that vein.
Yeah. He
Never
decided he
thought
wanted to be a
about
superhero, and rather than being Superman, he was Rockman.
Yeah. All right.
His
I'm laughing so hard at the height weight discrepancy.
yeah.
Like-
So his height is 132 centimeters, which is about 4'4" for us Americans, and his weight is 105 kilograms or 230 pounds. He is a robot,
He's like a tuna can.
so he's dense. Maybe the Captain N depiction was more accurate.
Yeah, obviously he is made of metal, so that's
Yes.
why he weighs 230 pounds at 4'4", but it's just funny to me. Yeah.
His energy source is solar collection cells,
I did not know that.
which begs
I was-
questions.
Yeah,
I want
it
to know
does.
what the health pickups are now. Are those just like pure light energy?
Well, they're little energon cubes, right?
I
You know,
guess.
just kind of
Yeah.
encapsulated in a little thing.
Right.
It seems weird. I would just assume it was like a
A battery?
internal reactor thing,
Right.
or a battery, like those.
got some
What was it?
double
Was it
A's.
fucking the Duracell commercial in the 90s
Yeah.
that was like the family and they had batteries in their
Right.
backs?
Oh, yeah. God, that was terrifying. I forgot
Just
about
had,
that.
just had one of those things, kind of going on. Yeah, solar, weird.
His main construction material is a ceramic titanium alloy.
All right, makes sense.
His maximum output is 1,500 PS or 1,200 RPM.
RPMs of what? What is
I don't know.
rotating?
I don't know. His maximum torque is 220 kilogram meters or 8,500 RPM. Which those are different conflicting numbers, and I'm confused by all of this. Maybe it's because I'm not an engineer. I would like to state for the record I'm definitely not an engineer.
Obviously, he must have some kind of internal motor that is moving.
Yes.
So it must be the rotations. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know this.
I hope some engineers can make sense of this because it sounds like nonsense to me.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like nonsense.
His date of creation originally was 200X, so sometime in the early 2000s. That has since been retconned to 20XX or sometime in the 21st century. And his
There
AI
you go.
is modeled after a 10-year-old child and is perpetually stuck at 10 years old.
It's worth mentioning the strong Astro Boy vibes of
yeah.
Mega Man, and I'm sure you probably have it in the notes later.
I didn't specifically mention Astro Boy, but yes, that was clearly an inspiration.
So a lot of the stuff like Mega Man being modeled after a young boy and stuff, you're like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But Astro Boy was a
Astro
very
Boy.
obvious inspiration. I think especially people kind of like my age and younger might not recognize or know about the impact of Astro Boy kind of in
Right.
Japan and in Japanese culture. Astro Boy was a big deal.
Oh, yeah. It was huge.
Very big, very popular. thing in Japan, which it never really was a thing stateside.
I remember seeing it on TV as a kid.
There was an Asteroid Boy like movie sometime in the aughts, kind of a remake sort of
that
thing.
Was weird. It was around the same time as that Speed Racer movie.
Yes, there was a weird like, hey, let's take 70s Japanese properties and make movies out of them.
With John Goodman for some reason.
I liked that Speed Racer movie. It was kind of terrible in all the weirdest ways.
Yeah, it really was.
But yeah,
Christina Ricci in that?
I don't fucking remember. So here's the thing. My wife and I, that was one of the movies when we were dating, we went and saw. And so we didn't watch the movie, we went and saw.
Yeah, you were dating.
We were teenagers. We were there to make out. So we didn't watch the movie. And so, but I do remember that was one of our earlier dates was the Speed Racer remake.
Yeah, Christina Ricci, John Goodman, directed by the Wachowskis.
So weird. What a weird fucking lineup.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell me about Mega Man's family.
Yeah, he's got family members. He's got his creator, Dr. Light, or Dr. Wright, depending on the translation. He's got a sister, Roll, because their names are rock and roll, because music.
I get it. It
And
does make me sad that the whole kind of music theme never really translated
kind of did
appropriately.
Eventually.
We would get bits of it occasionally, but
even in the first games, if you got to the ending, it would refer to them as rock and roll.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. On the NES, you would see that in the ending segments of the games.
Yeah.
And then his brother, his older brother, who is Blues in Japan or Proto Man here in the West, which did in fact lose his musical moniker outside of Japan. So that is his entire family unit, his two robot siblings and his creator.
Yeah, and his non-robot dad.
Yeah.
Let's talk first encounters. My first Mega Man was Mega Man X. I mean, what Mega Man X came out? What, 93? Is it 93?
Sounds right.
So I was 5. I didn't know there were other Mega Men. Megas Men. So it was years.
It's called Megas.
Yeah, the Megas. It was years later that I saw the original flavor of Mega Man, and I remember being like, "Well, this is like baby Mega Man for like little kids." So that's what original Mega Man was for me. I remembered. I forgot about this, but as I was writing this, I remembered I did own Mega Man 3, I think, for Game Boy.
Oh, nice, yeah.
But I just thought it was like, this is the Game Boy version of Mega Man, so he's kind of shittier and less cool, because that's what Mega Man has to be, because they can't, I mean, Mega Man X can't go on a Game Boy. How would that even fucking work? So I just thought that it was just like the derpy baby garbage port version. Come to find out years later that they're pretty good ports of Mega Man.
They're ports.
Yeah,
they're all right. They're pretty solid.
They're pretty good.
Physics are wrong.
For Game Boy ports.
Yeah.
You know, in the realm of Game Boy ports.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, well, there's Game Boy Mega Man, who's dumb and lame. And then there's Mega Man X. And then when I got older, I was like, oh, Game Boy Mega Man is regular Mega Man?
Yeah.
That's weird. So I had a very strange kind of opposite world introduction to Mega Man as a character. And honestly, didn't really give a shit about Mega Man until, I mean, I was probably late teens, early 20s before I was like, all right, I guess I'll go play Mega Man 2 because everyone says it's so fucking good.
Well, just imagine the people younger than you that started with Mega Man Legends or Mega Man Battle Network.
Or Mega Man Zero.
Yeah. It's
or
just
hell, ZX was DS. I mean, God, that was a long time ago. It was 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Yeah, so very strange. What about you, Saturn? You started with the baby Mega Man for
started
kids?
with baby Mega Mans. I had pretty sure I saw 3 first and then played 2. Because those first few games all came out real close to each other. It was just back to back to back.
Really, a lot of Mega Man games are kind of rapid fire.
And especially here in the West where release dates were kind of ambiguous. So your local stores may not even get a game until a year after it released. So it was kind of wishy-washy back then, but I'm pretty sure I saw 3 first and then played 2 from the rental store, and got pretty big in the series. Like I was a fan by the time 4 released. And was excited about the new ones and was upset that there wasn't a Super Mega Man on Super Nintendo yet. And then they finally released Mega Man X, and I'm like, this is cool, but like, where are all the man characters? There's no Mins in here. Like, all these Robot Masters are penguins and shit. Where's the Mins?
Where are the Mins?
I need all the Mins to
fight. They
fight.
took all the Mins out of my Mega Mans.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And really, in Mega Man X, they don't refer to him as Mega Man. His name is X.
Yeah. It just happens to take place in Mega Man-ish worlds.
Yeah, there is no Mega Man in Mega Man X. It's X and Zero. There's no Megas Min.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no Megas.
There's no Megas. This does not exist.
And now I want some Megas. Anyway.
So take us through well, I guess we have some notes here up front.
I just wanted to say that while there is a shitload of Mega Man information on the internet, it's a little difficult to find any kind of detailed information for a couple reasons. One, Mega Man fans have flooded the internet with fan theories and fan creations and fan robots and fan art and everything, which is great, and I'm glad they have, but it makes it really hard to find anything that is concrete. Two, there's conflicting information because somebody will say, well, this is the canon story of Mega Man, but it turns out they're referring to X, or they're referring to Lan from the Battle Network series or whatever.
Yeah, their version of Mega Man.
Right. And then there's also the non-canon stuff, like the Archie comics or the Ruby Spears cartoon or Captain N.
I hope we talk about both of them.
We will. And all of that stuff.
The current IDW comic run.
I didn't know about that one. But so there's all this conflicting stuff that was a problem. And also Kaiji Inafune, who was the character artist for Mega Man, who insists he's the father of Mega Man, and he says things that conflict with other creators of Mega Man. And then, of course, Capcom has also given conflicting information over the years.
Yeah.
And Capcom USA translated things wrong for years. So there's a lot of weird mix-ups, so I've tried to get things as close to definitive as I could.
And to be clear, this episode is largely and primarily about original
Vanilla
Mega Man.
Yeah.
Vanilla, plain yogurt Mega Man.
Yes.
So all the other versions would be their own episodes.
Yeah, they are separate characters that maybe we'll get to.
This is about old original baby Mega Man for babies that little babies liked.
Yeah. Well, I am a little baby and I love him.
Which is what's even weirder. Like, you go to Mega Man on Wikipedia, like the actual page for him, and the artwork is Mega Man from Mega Man Cross Dive, which I think stars X.
Yeah, I think
not
that's an X game.
Mega Man, because he gets the X armor in that game.
Yeah.
So it's just a fucking shit show.
Yes.
So step us through this shit show, Saturn.
Oh, man.
Put on your shit stomping boots and let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go. So the original character creation and pixel art were designed by Akira Kitamura, who is the actual father of Mega Man. But the adapted illustrations for packaging and things like that were all by Kiichi Inafune. And he would go on to design most of the future characters in the series after the first couple of games, because Kitamura, I believe, only worked on the first couple of games. Original concept names for the character included Mighty Kid, Knuckle Kid, Rainbow Warrior Miracle Kid, and the Battle Rainbow Rockman.
I feel like they missed out on him not being called Rainbow Warrior Miracle Kid, which is the most Japanese name ever. That's amazing.
I feel like that's right up there with Ninja Baseball Batman.
Yeah, it's near the top.
Yeah,
it's up there. I did check. Kitamura worked on Megas Man's 1 through 3.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then that was it. Also, Legendary Wings. So, that was a good game.
I love that game. Anyway, so Rock and his sister Roll were explicitly named after the music genre, of course. And as we mentioned, a lot of other characters would follow the trend. You got blues, which we mentioned. Bass, which in America is bass. In Japan, he's forte, which both of those are musical terms. Also, bass's cat is treble in the West and gospel in Japan, which is, again, musical terms. You've got Rush, who is Mega Man's pet dog, which is a musical term. You got Beat, which is a pet bird. It's a bird thing.
There is a bird, and it is named Beat.
Yeah, you got
Does
Tango.
It live with Mega Man? We don't know.
You got Tango, which is the cat, which shows up in some games. You got Inker, who was in the Game Boy games, who's a rival, who is a mistranslation of the Japanese term Enka, I think, is it's Bakumetai, that kind of music.
Yeah.
You've also got other rivals from the Game Boy games, Punk, Ballad, and Quint, who is supposed to be quintet, which is a musical term. And then you have Dr. Wily's pet bird in the Wii games, which was Reggae. So you got all these different musical name characters. There's also musical name characters in some of the spin-off games too. But from the original series, there was just a load of musical named characters.
They do lose some of the kind of ongoing theme of rock, roll, and blues. Feels, if it kind of, some of them, it feels like you're sort of stretching a little bit.
Yeah.
But
some of it, like
they're there.
Punk and reggae and gospel, I get all that.
Yeah, totally.
The Western nickname, the Blue Bomber, originated from Nintendo Power Volume 7 in July-August of '89. And
why did they call him that?
I don't know, but it stuck, and everyone
weird.
continues to call him that.
Doesn't really throw bombs. Maybe they
he can in the first game.
Maybe they thought they were talking. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You get Bomb Man's weapon and throw bombs, and in Mega Man 2, you get Crash Man's weapon, you can throw bombs.
Yeah, but he also does all sorts of other things.
I always thought of it as in like a bomber pilot, which he's also not.
That's what I think of too.
Yeah.
It makes me. In my head, I'm like, God, please be someone mixing him up with the Blue Bomber from Bomberman.
Well, they called him that before there was a Blue Bomber in Bomberman.
All right, so there's no way that was the mix-up,
right?
Just in my head, that would have been hilarious.
The developers originally intended for Mega Man's appearance to change when he got each weapon. Instead of just the color, they wanted like his whole body to morph, which never happened until Mega Man 11 due to hardware limitations.
Yeah.
But eventually they got there. It only took them 30 some odd years.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Let's talk story now. How I mean, we're going to talk about the cartoons.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So I'll wait till we get to the cartoons because we want to stick to the story as is largely presented or implied in some cases, because especially like the NES games, there wasn't really a lot of,
you had the manual and you had the ending, and that was about
there was a lot of dialogue happening, right?
Sometimes there'd be an intro text crawl or something.
And even, especially the first two games, there's not really a ton. Mega Man 3 is where it really starts to get like, there's some story
the endings
here.
of 1 and 2 have a little bit of story.
There's some. There's not a ton.
No.
3 is where you start to really get some emotion in the story with the whole Proto Man thing. Right. But step us through the story.
So, basically, the background is that the robot masters, the enemies, were all robots designed with no agency whatsoever. They perform their purpose until they're eventually manipulated by Dr. Wily, because that's the ultimate fate of every robot. So they just do their purpose, and that's all they can do. They have no personalities or agency whatsoever. And Mega Man,
the Rick and Morty bit of what is my purpose? You pass the butter.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Only they destroy construction sites or whatever.
Yes.
And Mega Man was the only robot designed with agency, and also the only one designed with the ability to power himself off when not in use, which is a weird ability to have. Who turns them on? I guess Dr. Light does.
Once you're turned off, you can't turn yourself back on, because by definition you're turned off.
So I guess he just turns himself off.
That's why he's so friendly. He wants people to like him, so they'll turn him the fuck back on in the morning. They're not gonna be like, I leave that piece of shit off. That guy's annoying.
I just imagine he's like, I just need to get away from this world. It's terrifying. He turns himself off, and like 8 minutes later, Dr. Light's like, good morning, Mega Man.
He's like, fuck off.
Right. So Dr. Light and Dr. Wily worked together to create the Robot Masters to serve mankind. And around this time, Dr. Light created Rock and Roll as peaceful robots for his children, because that's not weird and creepy.
Yeah, can we get into the fact that Dr. Light's kind of fucking creepy?
Yeah, he's like, I want a couple of 10-year-olds to live with me forever.
Like, obviously, ultimately, Dr. Wily goes crazy and turns evil. But early on, it sounds like Dr. Wily's doing normal scientist stuff, and Dr. Light's like, I can make children.
Yeah.
You're like, that's fucking weird, dude.
Right?
That's a little strange.
I want a perpetual 10-year-old to live with me forever.
Sounds worse that way.
Yep.
Sounds much worse than that. Okay.
Yep. So,
All right, what happens next?
so then Dr. Light and Dr. Wily have a falling out, maybe because Wily thinks Light's a fucking weirdo. and Wily decided that he was just going to destroy all of mankind and take them under his control. So he manipulates the robot masters into attacking mankind. And Rock decided that he wants to become a superhero to fight the other robot masters. And so he becomes Mega Man. And Dr. Light's just like, okay, I'm okay with this 10-year-old going out and destroying things.
Well, he weighs 230 pounds. He's only 4 feet tall. Like he could stop a dump truck if it crashed into him.
It's true. And so despite his childlike 10-year-old personality, he is forced to come to blows with all of his former colleagues in order to stop
Yes.
Dr. Wily, which I assume also explains why he always believes Dr. Wily at the end of each game when he says that he is sorry and he's going to reform himself.
when he cries and he's gonna,
Which also, when you think about Mega Man 7, that scene where Mega Man's like, I won't believe your lies anymore. Die, Wily. And when I think about that from a 10-year-old, I'm like, oh my God.
yeah, that's harsh,
fucked up.
dude. God damn.
Right? It suddenly got dark with that extra context.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. That's the entire plot. And then they just keep fighting Dr. Wily.
Yeah, just it repeats.
It's
It's the old sitcom thing of at the end of it, everything resets back to the way it was at the beginning, and then
Dr.
you
Wily
cue up the
escapes
sequel.
and it happens again.
Yeah, and then you're ready for the next one.
Yeah.
Where does Dr. Wily? Do we ever know where he gets these castle building?
I assume he just makes
Chops?
robots make them over and over again.
Yeah, that's true. He probably makes them do it.
I mean, he does have a lot of robots.
Yeah, this is very true.
Yeah.
Let's step through series appearances.
So
and how Mega Man has kind of visually changed a little bit.
So as far as main series, you've got the 6 games that were on NES between 87 and 93, which that's 6 games in 6 years.
It's a lot.
You've got the 5 Game Boy games between 91 and 94, which that's more than 1 game per year. You've got the Game Gear game in 95. You've got 2 arcade games in 95 and 96. You got 2 Super NES games in 95 and 98, and a PS1 and Saturn game that was released in 96. So in the first 10 years of the franchise, you have a shitload of games.
Yeah. When do we start to see? Because the Mega Man 1 through 6 on NES, visually, he's pretty consistent looking.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same. And the Game Boy games all look basically like the NES games. The Game Gear game looks like the NES game. It wasn't until Super NES in 95
we
that
saw some
finally
visual
saw
evolution.
Yeah, that's when we saw a different looking Mega Man.
He looked a little less squat.
Yeah.
He got some height to him.
There's also the board game Mega Man game that was on Famicom in 93.
Oh, boy.
There's the DOS games we talked about in the last episode.
DOS Mega Man is tremendously wide.
Oh, yeah. He looks so weird.
He's very
Round,
stretched.
too.
He's very round and
oblong. Yeah.
horizontal. He looks very strange.
Yeah.
He looks like off-brand Mega Man. Like when you see him, you're like, that's not Mega Man.
You got Mega Man Soccer on Super Nintendo in 94. You got Mega Man Battle and Chase on PS1 in 97. Super Adventure Rockman on Saturn in 98, which was the adventure game. And you've got the Wonder Swan spin-off of Rockman and Forte in 99. And then the series just kind of went to sleep for several years.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of, I think at that time, just fatigue.
Oversaturation,
really. There's too many Mega Man games coming out too fast. At this point, this wasn't the only Mega Man series going on simultaneously.
They had shifted pretty hard to Battle Network and X around this time. So the series just kind of fell asleep, and it was all spin-offs for a while. And then we got Mega Man Powered Up in 06.
Which was a change, a visual change, very, very much an aesthetic
he looked
change.
more like a 10-year-old in that one.
He did, because Mega Man, as he sort of, grew up throughout the games, the Super Nintendo Mega Man looked a little older. By the time you were getting to like Mega Man 8 and stuff, he was definitely looking not like a 10-year-old boy.
Right, yeah.
And then Mega Man Powered Up in 06 was very much a return. And even because Mega Man 9 was right after that, it also went back to the very squat,
Yeah,
kind of
NES-style format.
NES style looking Mega Man,
Yeah.
which I know was a disappointment for you, I think. But,
I was disappointed just to see it regress a lot gameplay-wise.
revert by like 5 games worth of game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost a slide. We lost, all kinds of stuff.
And so, yeah, there was a little bit of a return to the young boy form of Mega Man.
And we got
Dr. Light would be very excited, I think.
my 10-year-old is home.
Oh my god.
and then we had Mega Man. So Mega Man 9 was 2008, Mega Man 10 in 2010, and then nothing until Mega Man 11 in 2018, and then again nothing for 6 years.
Which Mega Man 11 went right back to the visual evolution that we had been, the trajectory we had been on up to Mega Man 8. Yeah. So very strange. There was also that one canceled Mega Man game that was on 3DS in the middle called like Mega Man Universe.
Oh yeah.
But that was all like claymation looking Mega Man.
Right, that was weird looking.
Just a very strange representation of Mega Man. It was very weird.
Yeah. So like design wise, it's kind of been all over the board, but I think the NES design has kind of survived the most.
Sure.
And in all of the non-NES appearances, there's a little bit of a change in his design. I mean, even like spin-off stuff, he looks a little bit different than he does in a lot of these other games. So
I do think that the middle point, I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't look at Mega Man a lot, I feel like his representation in Smash Brothers Ultimate is kind of weirdly in between, like the lankiness of late, Mega Man 8 Mega Man and like NES Mega Man.
Smash Brothers Mega Man to me always feels like, what if Captain N Mega Man was actually canon?
Like, what if he was the correct colors and was canon? Yeah,
right.
He Smash Brothers Mega Man, especially also because you're seeing him in comparison to very often regular sized human beings. Definitely looks like little 10-year-old boy Mega Man.
Granted, you say regular human beings, but you also have Mario right next to Fire Emblem.
True,
characters.
Also looking weird
next to Cloud, next to Ryu.
There's more context than you would get normally in a Mega Man
Terry
game.
Bogard standing there. It's a very strange universe.
So yeah, it just visually we've got the NES Mega Man, we've got the kind of like, I would really kind of lump like Super Nintendo Mega Man in with like Saturn and PlayStation Mega Man, but then the
arcade game too, I would say, is pretty close.
Yeah,
to that.
Arcade game as well. But then I would feel like Smash kind of goes visually in between. It kind of splits the difference.
And then 11 goes a slightly different route too, where it's a little closer to Smash than it is to the PlayStation game.
Yeah, most definitely. He doesn't feel Mega Man. I don't know what it is. Mega Man 8 Mega Man in particular always felt the weirdest to me.
Yeah.
Felt the particularly lanky and strange. And in my head, I'm like, they never really like. I get that he's perpetually a 10-year-old boy because he doesn't age because he's a fucking robot. But like, I feel like that's like teenage Mega Man.
Yeah, I could see that. It felt closer age-wise to Mega Man X than it did to original Mega Man.
Yes, and I mean, obviously, as a thing that experiences time, he does age in that regard.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you would have teenaged Mega Man.
And I think X is supposed to be a teenager. I think he's supposed to be
Mega
like
Man,
16, 18, something like that.
I thought he's supposed to be like a full-grown fucking adult.
No, this is Japan, Justin.
It's true, yeah. This is Japan, where when you're 30, you're what's that fucking like there's from some video game? So it's like an old gray man talking with a cane and white hair, and he's like, "I'm 30."
It's like Final Fantasy IV. Sid is supposed to be in his early 30s, and he looks like he's 100.
Yeah, and they act like he's this old ass man.
Right. He's got a kid. He must be ancient.
Oh man. All right. Let's talk non-game, non-canon appearances. This is where the meat is for me because it gets weird.
Yeah. So you got Captain N. He was a main supporting character for the entire run of the cartoon from 89 to 91. He never appeared in the Captain N comic due to licensing issues. But he was in the cartoon the whole time. You've got the Japanese OVA based on Mega Man called Upon a Star, which was released in 93. And the entire premise of the series is that Mega Man is discovering and learning about Japanese culture and teaching it to the audience.
Okay.
I tried to watch a clip of it, and it's just too weird for me. He got his own cartoon in '94 from Ruby Spears.
This is the one that I watched.
The Fighting Robots Mega Man.
No, yeah, the Ruby Spears one.
Yeah.
It first aired on September 11th
Of '94, though.
of '94,
That was years before September 11th was a thing.
making it the second most notable thing to happen on September 11th.
It's at least the like fifth worst tragedy that happened on a September 11th.
Mega Man was voiced by the guy that voices Cheetor.
No.
And Goku.
Oh.
His name is Ian James Corlett.
All right.
So for people that
I'm not familiar with Cheetor.
Cheetor was the coolest Transformer in Beast Wars: Transformers.
I stopped watching Transformers when they weren't cars anymore.
Yeah, well, this is when they weren't cars anymore.
Yeah.
They turned into cheetahs and rats and gorillas and stuff, and it's really awful looking. I thought it looked cool at the time, but it's not. Anyway, Mega Man in this looks fucking weird.
Yeah.
He's short, like a little boy.
He has like an adult man face.
Yeah, but he's got like a big head.
Yeah.
It's not helped by his helmet, but then he's like fucking shredded, like Mr. Universe, pecs, six-pack, jacked.
I hated this show so much.
And I would wake up at 5 a.m. Mega Man would air. So if you get up at 5 a.m., it'd be a half-hour Mega Man and then Garfield and Friends for like an hour.
Yeah.
And so this was my early morning cartoon, was Mega Man and Garfield and Friends. And this show sucks hard. It's very bad, and it's not good. But it might be the best Mega Man cartoon?
I don't know. I haven't watched the newest one.
The newest one is that Fully Charged?
Yeah.
Is that the new one? Just visually looks real bad.
Ugly. Yeah.
It is hideous.
Ugly.
Well, I don't know why Dr. Light is 15 feet tall for some reason.
I was trying to find some images of the '94 Mega Man cartoon just to give myself a better frame of reference, and the first image that came up was Mega Man holding Roll's severed head. Also, Mega Man meeting Mega Man X, who is somehow even more shredded than him in the cartoon.
So, I remember the crossover episode, and I was like, "Derpy dumb Mega Man met cool Mega Man. That's neat." It is to date, as far as I know, I think the most accurate, canonically, anyways, Mega Man non-video game media that we have.
Except for they all look like adults, and that ruins
They
it
do
for
look
me.
weird. Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's animated weirdly.
Yes.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
And there's only 27 episodes.
Which, that's still too many.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But it was a little more accurate.
Yeah, it was Mega
did
Man, and it was on TV, and that was exciting.
There was kind of there was a decent amount of Mega Man X crossover stuff because Vile was there. Spark Mandrill was there.
Oh.
There were like Reploids there. Like, it was a thing.
I only remember seeing 2 or 3 episodes and hating them.
Oh, it's bad. It's a bad show. But again, still probably the most accurate Mega Man cartoon to date, unfortunately. But tell us about Fully Charged.
I don't know anything about Fully Charged, to be honest. I've not watched any of it, but it was on Cartoon Network from 28 to 2019 and got a comic book spinoff. Speaking of comics, there was the Archie comics.
There were the Archie comics,
ran from 2011 to 2015.
Those ones I've not read. I think so. I was trying to think. That might be the one I'm thinking of. I thought it was IDW, but I think it was Archie Comics. Yeah, you know what I'm thinking is IDW does the current Sonic run, and Mega Man was like late Archie Comics. So, and it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like one of the better renditions in media, non-video game media of Mega Man. But I've yet to read it. They do
it
have
ended
omnibuses.
9 years ago.
Well, I'm going to get around to it. It ended a year or two ago. I'm going to get there.
A couple years ago.
A couple years ago, it ended. I'm going to get around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's supposed to be real good.
Right.
So it's kind of on my list of like things to check out one day. There is a lot of crossover in it with Mega Man X. I think there's crossover with, I want to say like ZX.
I also read that there were crossovers with other Capcom entities.
That I don't know.
Okay.
I do know that the Archie comic kind of it just looking at it, like the characters that appear in it really encompasses a lot of the Mega Man universe. There's lots of crossover, and really we see this with not only the Ruby Spears, but then also the Archie comic, that there's just kind of a lot of crossover in general between the Mega Man timelines, despite the fact that like
the actual games have never ever done that ever.
The games have never done that and are theoretically set in different universes entirely.
Not quite. They imply that the same universe exists.
Oh, really?
Because if nothing else, Dr. Light is in X.
True, yeah, but it's like however many years later.
Right, yeah, it's supposed to be like decades or centuries later.
Mega Man X, it was always in my head like the post-apocalyptic Mega Man.
Exactly, yeah. So it's implied to happen in the same universe, but so far apart that they'll never encounter each other.
Right. And so yeah. Anyway, the Archie comic Mega Man is supposed to be real good. I don't know why I thought it was IDW. I was so sure in my head, but yeah, I guess it's because Sonic is IDW, and I just assume IDW got all the video game comics, but they did not. What else we got?
So we've got game spinoffs and crossovers and cameos and everything else. Mm-hmm. There's a lot. He's been in a lot of shit. There was the Marvel Capcom games. There was Smash Brothers. Almost any Capcom property they could squeeze Mega Man into, they did.
Oh, yeah. They shoved him in there. He was very much... He kind of was the Capcom mascot, and then now all of a sudden they're like, nah, fuck that guy. We don't need him anymore.
Yeah, now it's all either Ryu or generic Resident Evil.
Yeah, or sometimes, I was going to say Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Although with Monster Hunter, it's just like, oh, a big dragon.
Yeah, Rathalos. Always Rathalos.
Yeah, a Rathalos. And you're like, okay, it's cool, I guess.
And neat. Also, they had announced a Mega Man movie back in 2018, which I don't remember if we covered this on the show.
I don't remember
back when it was announced or not.
A couple years ago when it was announced.
Yeah. So Capcom and 20th Century Fox had said they were going to make a live-action Mega Man film.
Yeah.
Live-action Mega Man film. Just thought I would hammer that home.
Yeah.
It was canceled by Disney in 2020 due to conflict between the producer and the studio.
Right. Was the conflict that it's a very stupid idea?
It has to be. The producer, Peter Chernin, has continued to try to pursue the concept and is supposedly still working with Netflix on something Mega Man related. He apparently keeps pitching this idea over and over and over again. So maybe someday he'll actually make it happen and we can all regret it together.
The true Mega fan.
Yeah. And then there was also Street Fighter Cross Mega Man, which was back in 2012. Man, that's 12 years ago now, which was originally a fan game and was elevated by Capcom, officially distributed, which is a neat little crossover between Mega Man and Street Fighter.
Yeah.
In Street Fighter Cross Tekken, we had Bad Box Art Mega Man as a playable character.
Yeah, we forgot about that representation, the American box art Mega Man.
Yep.
Where they were like, no, we'll make him look stupid for a couple games, and then we'll just use the actual cover art.
Yeah.
Although even the in air quotes, real cover art, he always looked way too rosy-cheeked.
Well, that's just in the Western cover art. We never got the Japanese cover art until 8, I think.
Oh, really? I'd assumed that the later NES cover art where he looked more like Mega Man, but still also kind of like weird.
Oh, no. Those are still U.S. specific or Western specific art.
That. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Well, they're still bad.
Yeah, they're still pretty bad. If you look at the Japanese box art from that era, it's much more cartoony Inafune art.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk evolution and spin-offs. We've already kind of touched on a lot of it. Mega Man X was sort of the big one, which has created its own series of spin-offs with Mega Man Zero and Mega Man ZX, and then whatever other letters they want to add to it later on down the line. We didn't even touch on Mega Man Legends yet.
Right.
Which is kind of weird. It's implied that it is the same Mega Man as regular Mega Man.
It's a different Mega Man.
Is it different?
Oh yeah, that was always established as a separate universe.
Oh, because he's like more human.
Yeah, I don't remember what his name
Ish.
is in Mega Man Legends, but it's not Rock.
Oh yeah, he does have a whole fucking name.
Oh, what is his name?
And he takes his goddamn helmet off, and I
Yeah.
remember being like, "What the fuck? It comes off."
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he is not Rock like in the main series.
And then there's the Battle Network, which is also separate. and
Mega Man
different.
Volnut is his name. in the Legends
Yes,
games.
Volknut. I forgot about that.
Yes.
God, those were some weird games.
Yes.
How strange. So you've got Vanilla Mega Man, Mega Man X, Mega Man Legends Mega Man Battle Network Mega Man.
Yep.
And this is not counting the multiple sub-series spin-offs of each of the different overarching versions of Mega Man,
Right.
which are not, again, Vanilla Yogurt Mega Man, which is what we're talking about.
And then of course all of this the weird spin-off cameo Mega Man
Yes.
that are even stranger.
Let's talk about Kmart Mega Man.
Oh, Mighty Number 9?
Yes. Kmart brand Mega Man.
The Mega Man we have at home?
That was Yeah, let's talk about the Mega Man we have at home, please.
Yeah.
Because what a disaster.
Yeah. Was he also a 10-year-old boy?
I don't know, but there was or is still forthcoming
God.
maybe a Mighty Number 9 cartoon.
I don't believe them. I don't believe them even a little.
So the game came out, obviously.
Mhm.
The game existed, but then there was it was like supposed to be like the indie darling. It was a whole fucking
It was the
thing.
first major game Kickstarter.
Yeah, and it was God. Did the cartoon come out? I'm trying to see. Animated series was announced. Yeah, they also announced a feature film.
Yeah.
And then around that time is when Red Ash was announced by Inafune, which
yeah.
was supposed to. It was the failed Mega Man Legend thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the cartoon ever actually
I don't
came
think
out
it
or not.
did.
I know the movie did not.
Yeah.
The movie never happened, but I swear the cartoon did. I got it in my head. I so feel like it did. I'm not
Mighty Number
sure.
9, the animated series.
Yes, yes. Here it
26
is.
episodes.
Yes.
Oh wait,
and
no,
it's-
it never actually aired.
Oh, it never came out.
Yeah.
They had teasers and stuff for it.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
could
they-
watch it.
Yeah, they had clips, but it never actually aired.
Oh, it was bad. It looked bad. Mighty Number 9 always looked bad to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a bad
From
art
the
style. It was a bad game. It's sad is what it is.
Right now, I mean, Mega Man is kind of in the fridge, I guess is probably the best way to put it.
Right.
It feels like I don't know. I mean, it's weird to me that Mega Man 12 hasn't happened. I'll say that.
Right? Because I felt like Mega Man 11 was a great return to form.
Came
And I
out
was-
was fun. I enjoyed it.
I was hoping we were going to see another, and we have seen nothing.
But as much as they seem to continue to perpetuate the Mega Man collections,
Yeah.
you would think Capcom would care a little bit more. It has to just be that Mega Man does not make the money
Yeah.
that Monster Hunter does, that Resident Evil does, and it just has to be not worth it for this. The only thing I can think. I mean, it's not making Street Fighter money, and they can't yet convince us to pay $5 per Robot Master or whatever DLC shit they want to figure out. So they're just like, yeah, this is just gonna have to fall by the wayside, we guess. Which is unfortunate, and honestly, even if Mega Man did come back, I think the chances, you never know, right? Mega Man comes back and you're like, is it Mega Man? Is it vanilla yogurt Mega Man? Or is it one of these like exotic flavored Megas?
Migas.
And so you never really particularly know. I think my final thoughts I wrote, Mega Man is neat. He's my favorite blue and cyan arm-gunned robot boy.
Well, of the choices, yeah, I can see why.
Of all the ones to pick from.
I was intending on just putting a Captain N joke there, and then forgot about it entirely.
Yeah. And so, and really, the Captain N Mega Man is his own separate Mega Man as
yeah.
well, which we don't really even touch on. But it's interesting that
He lives in Megaland.
of all of God damn it. of all of the Mega Man versions, it seems that vanilla Mega Man kind of has the least coherent and least developed story.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the depth of story we get in some of the other. I mean, some of it is just a lot of the other Mega Man spinoffs came later when games had more story.
Right.
Some of them, like Battle Network, are RPGs and just are able to facilitate more storytelling.
And also, when they did try to add more story to Vanilla Mega Man, it got really weird real quick.
Yeah, it got weird and bad.
Yeah, and the voice acting is still great. Oh man, I love Dr. Light on the PlayStation and Saturn game.
It's so bad.
We have to stop Dr. Wally.
Why did they make him sound like that?
I don't know, but I love it. I love it so much.
And so it's just kind of weird that like the OG Mega Man never really got the kind of development
Right.
that other sub versions of this same character have gotten.
And
So
maybe
he just
will
kind of
someday.
remains. Maybe, yeah. That
When
would be
he's
nice.
rebooted into a gritty, hardcore reboot.
It felt like Powered Up was maybe going to go that way,
Right.
and then kind of didn't. But then really, you could even make the argument that Powered Up is its own different version
Yeah.
of Mega Man.
Exactly.
Because it is real different, even though it is also real not different at the same time.
And also
It's
in
very
Powered Up,
strange.
like he's good friends with all the other robots and
Yeah, it's
and
this, like-
reforms them. Whereas in the original, he just fucking kills them.
yeah, it's this kind of fun chibi version,
Yeah.
and so it's just very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange that of all the character development we've gotten of all the different Mega Man versions, the OG one is still kind of like, I don't know, is he a ripped teenager? Is he a little boy? Is he a grown man with a baby head in a Ruby Spears cartoon? Nobody
can
knows.
be all these
We don't
things.
know. I suspect that it is going to end up being the Archie comic version that we have not read. That is going to be that development that I'm
Probably.
wanting
There's
for
probably a lot
original
more
Mega
development there just because it did run for years. So, but whether or not that's canon is another question. So,
I think at this point, like the story for OG Mega Man is so nondescript that it's hard to tell what is or isn't canon. I
there
mean,
was more canon around the Super NES PlayStation era when you had like
Sure.
bass and treble showing up and
but
all
even
that
then,
stuff.
comparatively, not a ton.
No,
it's just
no.
more,
Yeah.
more than there was before, but
Right.
not like a lot.
I do remember when they announced Mega Man 4 and they're like, and the villain won't be Dr. Wily. It's this new guy, Dr. Kasak. And I was like, ooh, intrigue. And then it comes out and it's still Dr. Wily. And I'm like, they pulled the wool over my eyes.
I was fooled again. Yeah. Anyway, that's Mega Man. He's
That's
a
all
cool
the
little
Megas,
blue
man.
boy, and we like him. We like that little blue and or green boy. Wish he'd
Probably
stick
not
to a
as much
color.
as Dr. Light likes him, though.
Maybe he was just stuck on a specific weapon in Captain N,
Oh, yeah.
and he couldn't get back to the
He
Mega
was on
Buster.
bubble lead the whole time.
Yeah, he was stuck on bubble lead, and he was like, "Fuck, Saturn." I think you mean bubble lead.
I do not.
It's bubble lead.
I absolutely do not.
Your refusal to embrace that pronunciation gives me great joy.
I also
You know what
refuse
else?
to say GIF.
Gives me great joy.
Hmm.
Is what if you're talking about peanut butter though? Then
Then
would you
it's
say
Jif.
Jif?
Only the peanut butter is GIF.
Is our Patreon at patreon.com/Retro Warriors, where you can get all sorts of things that are there. If you just go read the fucking website, I don't have to tell you. Do I have to tell you again what is there? Like I tell you every episode. You fucking know what's
Wow.
there.
Damn.
You know, no, I'm just, you know what? I'm sick of this charade. I'm not fucking putting up with this anymore. You know what's there.
After midnight, Justin loses his ability to sell things.
You know what's fucking there. Uncut versions of this show, Talking Wizards, other shit.
I'm not
read
going to say it.
along.
Now I'm going to say it.
Which just go fucking look at it. And you can give us money. Like all these people, starting with our producer Guy, who's already left the call. He's not
Yeah, he
here,
left.
but thanks, Guy.
Yeah, and Dr. Jason Tharp,
Chris Minocci,
the Video Rangers podcast.
Frank Grimes,
George McBain,
Sharp Cheddar,
David Cavallari,
Nick M.
and Novocaine FS.
all sent us money.
Yay!
And we like money. Money is great. It's
Can
an
be
awesome
spent on
thing.
Mega Mans.
Yeah, we can buy all the Megas Mans.
We can
I
get
was
all
thinking-
the Mega Men.
I was thinking the other day about the I know we're like already at the end of the show, but
Yeah.
the concentration of Mega Man that exists on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, there's.
I mean, there's
really
like,
on all the modern platforms.
there's like
just a
70
ton of-
fucking Mega Man games on Switch. Like I got Mega Man 11. I got both the Mega Man collections, the Mega Man X collection. I don't have the Battle Network collection, but
Yeah,
shit,
I've got
man.
all of the Mega Man collections on my Xbox except for Battle Network since it's not on Xbox.
Yeah, there's so fucking many.
Oh yeah,
It's just
get all
it's
the
too many.
Mega Mins.
too many Mega Mins.
Yeah,
It's just let's stop. Let's back it up a little bit.
yeah. No,
Why isn't he called Mega Boy?
maybe they thought that was a little too close to Astro Boy.
Maybe that was too creepy, I think.
Maybe Rock Boy sounds worse.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot worse.
Got a
That's-
Rock Boy over here.
That's dramatically worse.
Yeah.
That's upsettingly worse. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.